What's going on, everyone? This video is going to be what are some serial killer facts or facts about serial killers that you find extremely interesting. This question was posted by Zimmy9921. The first one is Pee Wee Gaskins, most prolific serial killer in South Carolina, drove around in a hearse with a bumper sticker that read, "I haul dead people." He told people that he needed it to take the bodies of people he killed to his private cemetery. He claimed to have killed between 100 and 110 people. When police eventually came to the house of Ed Gein, they found an absolute pigsty. Gein had been living alone since the death of his brother in a barn fire. It was speculated that Gein may have killed him and had let much of the house go into disrepair. They found countless body parts from the various grave digging excursions, including a bag of wilted vaginas and, of course, the infamous skin lampshade and half-finished woman's suit made of human skin. There were maggots living in the old dishes in the kitchen. It was the type of disorganized mess that you would expect from a man who spent his nights completely disconnected from reality. All except one room, his mother's room upstairs, remained pristine, except for the dust that had collected and seemingly untouched from the time of her death years earlier. He had such a fear or respect for his mother that he was afraid to set foot in a room long after she had died. He claimed to hear her voice criticizing him from time to time. That was the central experience that has inspired Norman Bates' character to maintain his mother's home/image in Psycho. I actually also read that he inspired Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Buffalo Bill from the Silence of the Lambs. Also, fun fact about Gein, in Taxi Driver, Travis Bickle makes an offhand comment when leaving a diner that he had a cup of coffee and a slice of apple pie with cheese on top. In exchange for details to investigators after his capture, Gein requested the same meal. In the John Wayne Gacy case, there were so many bodies crammed underneath the house that the bodies melted together, and the bones had to be sorted for more than 2 years to put together the full skeletons. Piggybacking on this, since it was on John Wayne Gacy, and I just read a book on him, apparently one of the ways he would de-escalate a police search for his victims was by calling into the police station anonymously and reporting a fake sighting of the victim. This led the police to believe that the victims had not in fact been missing, but instead had run away, thus deprioritizing their search. The Hillside Stranglers picked up a young woman to murder. Then they discovered that her father was Peter Lorre, a legendary Hollywood character actor. They let her go because they feared that killing a celebrity's daughter would bring too much attention down. I think the fact that Ed Gein only killed 2 people is amazing, because he is one of the most well-known serial killers. Jeffrey Dahmer gave the people in his apartment building sandwiches that could have possibly been made from his victim's flesh. I went to Marquette University in Milwaukee, not far from Dahmer's apartment building. When the news broke, my boyfriend at the time was riding the bus and a lady was freaking out and crying uncontrollably. She lived in the building and he apparently hosted cookouts regularly. I always think about the PTSD the first cop to open the refrigerator must have. Jeffrey Dahmer, towards the end, right before he got caught, had so many bodies in an apartment that he ran out of room and stored one victim in his bathtub. He proceeded to shower over him every day for a month. Think about that, straddling over a rotten corpse to get fresh and clean for the day. Pedro Alonso Lopez pled guilty to the murders of 100-plus girls and only received a maximum sentence of 16 years, as that was the maximum possible sentence in Ecuador. He was released despite promising to continue killing, but disappeared shortly after. The serial killer Bela Kiss liked to pickle people in barrels stored in his basement. Someone figured it out, but they couldn't get him because he was fighting in World War I. By the time they tracked him down, he had disappeared and left a dead guy in his hospital bed. He supposedly joined the French Foreign Legion and deserted that too, and I think history loses track of him after that, with the exception of one possible sighting as a janitor in New York. The janitor disappeared before anyone could confirm it. I believe the only reason they found the barrels was because they believed he was storing gas and there was a massive shortage on it at the time. Bella was away at war, so they broke in his garage to find the barrels, only they didn't find gasoline. I have a family member who briefly dated this guy, who is John Edward Robinson. She almost but not quite fit the profile of his victims. One time, when he picked her up, her adult son was visiting the house, met him and shook his hand. He ghosted her after that. Also, my mom was living in a mobile home park in Wichita during BTK's killing spree. My dad was deployed overseas. They had a big German shepherd who she would put outside for a little bit every night before going to sleep. And she said for a while she had to bring him in early because he would just go crazy, barking, growling, and snarling every night. Shortly after he stopped doing that, there was a BTK murder not too far from the mobile home park. Scary stuff. Some older homes in Wichita have a second landline installed by the door because he was notorious for cutting phone lines. People would come home and check the line by the door, then the other line, just to reassure themselves. The Golden State Killer, known at the time as the East Area Rapist, would often break into the homes of couples, making the woman tie up the man. He would stack dishes on the back of the man and threaten that if he heard the dishes fall, he would kill everyone in the house. Then he would rape the woman repeatedly and ransack the house for hours. At a community meeting about the rapist, a macho man stood up and went on a rant about how a real man would never let such a thing happen to him and his wife. The rapist proceeded to attack that man and his wife soon after, meaning he was attending the community meeting about himself. Durango Vargas killed and ate at least 10 people. He only ate men because he said their meat tasted better than women's. He also wouldn't eat fat. Wouldn't eat fat people because he thought they contained too much cholesterol. Journalist Vlado Teneski also was caught when he reported on his own crimes and included information that hadn't been released to the public and only the killer could know. Edit. More info about Teneski. One of the 4 women who disappeared, 3 were found displayed signs of being viciously raped, molested, and tortured before being strangled to death with a phone cord. Though the police had initially revealed that the women had been strangled, they had not said with what. Noticing that Teneski had correctly named the specific type of phone cord used, they arrested him on suspicion of murder. After questioning him, they obtained a search warrant for his home. His house was filled with pornography and notes about the crimes. He had been carrying out the murders, then writing about them in great detail for the paper, as if taunting the police. I'm surprised we don't hear more about Robert Hansen in popular culture. He would kidnap women and turn them loose in the Alaskan wilderness, where he would then hunt them down like animals and kill them. He didn't have the highest number of victims, but his method of hunting them for sport is absolutely insane. He's not the only one to have done it. I forgot his name, but apparently a wealthy Mexican politician had the same MO. He once spared a girl and returned her to the street because she refused to run. Sadly, she was not believed, and he killed several more for being arrested. Mac Ray Edwards. He was a serial killer who worked for Caltrans. He'd kill his victims and then bury the bodies in places he would later help build the highways over. Not all his victims have been found, and many are very, very likely still under some of the California highways you may have driven over countless times. Dennis Rader, aka BTK, Blind Torture Kill, started communicating with police after years of silence in 2004-ish. He had gone decades without being caught and once again started sending taunting letters and items to them. He asked them if he could be traced if he sent them his writings on a floppy disk, and they assured him through a communication in a newspaper that no, they couldn't trace him. He sent them a floppy disk and they found metadata linking to his church. He was arrested shortly thereafter. He was hurt that they would lie to him because he thought they had developed a rapport. Alright, that's going to be it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and stick around for the next video.